I've received a bite on this thumb twice, 2 bites on this finger, 1 on this finger, 1 in the stomach. Also lost my leg about 7 years ago as a result of a rattlesnake bite. But I'm willing to walk with you on this journey as you change your life around, because you can be delivered. I think we can handle that job.
I can handle it because I know you're here because the Snake Man's here.
Welcome to Backroads Truth, the podcast where faith meets melody, hosted by ICMA Artist of the Year, singer-songwriter, Justin Todd Herod.
Thank you, in Jesus' mighty name. Because we got a lot to talk about when I got somebody like I got you today, man. I'm going to tell you one thing, and let me say this from the depths of my heart, man. There's a lot of people that I look up to and admire. There's a lot of people that I am intrigued with, and just sometimes even people I can't take their calls. I try my best, and you know this, it's hard for me to take phone calls, but I try to take yours all the time because you mean the world to me, man. I appreciate you. Thank you. Jackie Bibby, man.
You're a pleasure and a joy, and it's definitely a mutual admiration society.
Well,
because I love you dearly. I have ever since I met you. We've had a connection.
Yeah.
And it's, I think we kind of tend to understand one another.
We do.
I think
we're
we
rough
know
cut,
how we
buddy.
tick. Yeah, it's, a lot of times when you meet an individual, it takes just a little while to figure out where they're coming from and how they put the world together.
That's right.
But within a few minutes, I knew who and what you were.
Well,
and
coming from you, it didn't take me long to put together. Not only you a tough son of a gun, one of the toughest I know, but man, your heart, brother, and your love for people, your love for God. But the first time I met you, you about scared the doggone snot. I don't want to say the wrong word. You scared the mess out of me more than I can tell you. And I'm going to tell people, you know what he does, but I haven't elaborated on it. But this is the Texas Snake Man, Jackie Bibby, and emphasis on Texas and snake. But you'll know in a minute he's been international. He's known all over the world. But I got to know him with a close encounter of the snake kind when he invited me over to see his little pet. I don't even want to say. I'm gonna let you tell us what it is, and I'll jump back in.
You came to my museum.
It's kind
museum. Museum/storage building.
Storage.
Yeah,
that's right.
But I got a few snakes stashed in there, and I've got some of my memorabilia.
Oh boy, go ahead. Storage building is right. Go ahead.
But
man.
I've been so blessed to have got to go a lot of places and do a lot of things and meet a lot of people, I
got to finish my story, Snake, for a second, because I was going to get you to spin it, but I'm going to do it. Then I'm going to turn you loose with your life story, your whole thing. First time I met him, we were in the little town of Rising Star, Texas. And if you've never been to Rising Star, it is not a thriving metropolis. It is, and I love it. I have a lot of roots there. I have a lot of people there I love. I have stayed there. I have been there ongoing for 20-something years. And I was at the place called the Mercantile. We were doing a little revival/concert thing. And you and your son showed up there, and I think that the service impacted him, and you and I got to meet. And then you invited me. You said, come over to my museum. And because I knew a little bit about you. Everybody knows about this guy, but I knew a little bit about you. And I thought, I know he's got records and Ripley's Believe It or Not stuff and, dealing with Western Diamondbacks and King Cobras and anything that can scare you to death. And he said, come over to my museum. And I'm thinking he's going to show me like some of his books and, memorabilia. And I'm cool with that because I love history. I love, intriguing people. I show up and I walk in there and he's showing me his Ripley Believe It or Not books. He's showing me all of his, Guinness Book of World Records. He'll tell you all about it here in a minute. He's showing me all this stuff and I hear stuff rustling around and I hear these sounds and I already know what it is. But I'm hoping and praying it's like a tape recorder or something. He just got in there for ambiance or something. But it's not. And I'm about 260, you guys. The trooper. I'm not a little dude. I'm a pretty big dude, thick. And he pulled out one of his little storage items, which is about a 4.5 foot, 5 foot Western Diamondback with a head on it about the size of my fist. And he pulled it out and started walking toward me. And I didn't even know you that well, but I said, Snake Man, I said, I will make you a brand new door through that daggum brick wall. And I meant it, man. Not that I wanted to tear your house up, but buddy, I was ready to. But you know what? I found out real quick that not only do you know what you're doing, but you've done it for a long, long time, man. And you've done it with a fascinating story, man, which is incredible, man. Incredible, brother. You're incredible.
It became a vehicle for me many, many years ago. I've always been a thrill seeker. I'm an adrenaline junkie. So I love to do activities that tend to develop, and that adrenaline is the payoff oftentimes on that stuff. I got involved in a rattlesnake roundup. I was 18 years old. I didn't even know for sure which end of a rattlesnake could hurt you. But these guys are in there doing
You know
this
now,
deal.
though. You'll tell us
I
about
know
it
now,
later.
yeah.
That's right.
They were sacking rattlesnakes in competition,
gosh, man.
which is a 2-man team get in this big old glass enclosure, and they hand us 10 rattlesnakes in a tow sack, and we dump them out, and they give us 2 minutes to arrange them. Then you got to pin them, pick them up, and put them in the sack, and the one that does it the fastest wins money and prizes. And the first time I ever competed, I won $30, 2 trophies. He got my name in the paper. So I thought, wow, what a deal. So 53 years later, now it's taken me all over the world. 16 trips to Europe, all over the United States, over 200 times on television, several series, a lot of movies. And meet people like you. That's the big payoff.
It is a payoff.
I meet people like yourself
payoff,
and
dude.
other
It is,
individuals. I've even met a few good-looking redheads while I've done this.
You had a few of them try to take you home, man. You're a celebrity, man. You've had them try to pick you up everywhere. Maybe I need to quit playing the guitar and go to handling snakes.
We
No, I'm
have a
happily
pretty
married,
good
man.
time
We'll
when
get on
we
that.
travel around and meet people. And oftentimes I've got snakes with me, and everybody wants to see them. And,
I know.
You know, sometimes I sign a few autographs, take a few pictures. But the main thing
You
is,
do a lot of that.
I just am blessed. I'm just the most blessed man I know. People are, well, how you doing? Well, I'm the most blessed man I know.
I know you are.
And I am. And it all hasn't been real easy. It hadn't all been real pretty.
No, I know.
But where I'm at today is nice. And it's just a blessed state because
I know.
today I know whose I am, and I know who I am.
We're going to talk a lot about that, man, today. Two of the memories, of all the memories I've got of you, which I've got tons of them, and I'm going to touch on a couple, then I'm going to touch on another 2 or 3. The big one I'm going to save for later. But one of the memories I have of you is my wife had a very disturbing text that I sent to her, because me and you, listen, just going to freak y'all out. Just block this out of your mind for a minute. Both of us had our shirts off. And because you were showing me all of your tattoos of all of the, and I showed you a few of mine that I have, just all Christian God stuff, but you had tattoos of all the late night shows and stuff that you've been on your back. And
My resume, yeah.
Your resume is on your back, man.
Yes, sir.
Of all the, tell us about some of the shows you've been on, man.
Well, the first big show I was on was Chevy Chase show. That was in the early 90s.
I remember that, man.
And it was on a Fox channel. It was a late night talk show. And I was on there with Jamie Lee Curtis and Sam Elliott and Chevy Chase. So what a beautiful group of individuals to meet and get to interact with and do that kind of stuff. And I've always wanted to be in the limelight, if you will. Yeah. And I've always perceived myself as being an actor of sorts.
And you are.
And I am to a degree. I've had a chance to be in a lot of films. But going on that show back there, that was my first time on national television. In a pretty big spotlight. And after that, I went on Jay Leno, Maury Povich, Ricky Lake, Sally Jesse, Ralph Hill, Steve Harvey, 2020, Ripley's, Guinness,
the next big thing, all that stuff, that you was on.
The Go Big Show.
Go Big Show.
With Snoop Dogg. Been on Walker, Texas Ranger a couple of times. And, been
the only guy that
movies.
Chuck Norris is afraid of right here, buddy. I'll tell you that right now. I bet you anything. Instead of those Chuck Norris sayings, it should be Jackie Bibby doesn't have the son has a staring contest with you, or you're the only guy that sleeps with a pillow under your gun. I mean, a pillow under your gun or something like that. Whatever, No, that's great, man. And you've been on a ton of stuff, movies, but the other thing, man, that got me about you, man, and I'm going to set this up because here's what I want to do today. I want to recall a story that touched me about you, and of the many things that has touched me about your life. Not just your ability to handle rattlesnakes, catch them, set records with them, but when I watched that documentary about your life, I went to your house, man, and you invited me over, and I went over there and watched that film about your life. Y'all, I cry. Y'all see me on here cry. I cried that day because of your story, man. Your story of, man, being a football athlete, great athlete, arm wrestling champion, Golden Gloves champion, and all that kind of, I think you said this, because you wanted your father's attention. You wanted to have somebody love you and notice you, man. And it wasn't until you started handling snakes and stuff till kind of your dad began to respond. I think I got that from that show. It's kind of what it looked like for me, man.
He did mellow later in life. My father was raging alcoholic, You know, my mother was an alcoholic and drug addict, but that didn't mean they didn't love me and my sister. They did. They loved us with all they had at their disposal. And back at that time, we didn't understand alcoholism and family dysfunction the way that we do now. You know, but it was a mixed bag from my dad, because my dad would do anything for his family. I mean, he'd work 3 jobs. He'd work all night and all day, and he'd do anything he needed to do to see to it that we got things. And he took us on vacations and he took us places. But the flip side of that, he'd get drunk and he'd whoop us. He'd whoop us with his fist. He never whooped me with a belt in my life, but he whooped me with his fist.
Lord have mercy.
And then when he'd get through whooping me and I'd be bleeding, he'd hold me and hug me and tell me he loved me. That was a little confusing.
That's very confusing. It is, man.
But
that's very confusing.
There was a lot of dysfunction there, and of course, it didn't take long for me to get into the alcohol and drugs myself. And so, part of what you saw on that documentary was about when I was in my active addiction, you know, and I was going to jail.
Crew,
and
toss me those, would you please?
Going to prison and going through the things that any normal individual that's a drug addict goes through. And you know, it was just a learning experience.
Yes,
That's it. That's what it was.
Yes.
Just a learning experience. But I always had the desire to be a good guy, and I was raised in church. My family went to church. Now, they might have been hungover, you know, and they might have been bunged up from a fight they had, you know, and they might have still smelled like liquor, but they went to church.
Yes, sir.
And we were taught at an early age, you know, about Jesus.
Yes, sir.
And we were Christians.
Amen.
We were Christian people. We were damaged. You know,
Amen.
We'd been through some stuff, you know, and that went back several generations.
Amen.
But
Boy,
it was an interesting journey.
I think that's one of the reasons that me and you connected the way we did. I really do, man. Of all the things, mutual respect, admiration, you know, fanboy here of you. But I think the reason we really connected, because that was my childhood. I come from a lot of really hardcore, as you said, damaged people. I always tell people my childhood was like a Jerry Springer episode every day, pretty much. It was like that's the way in my house all the time. I've seen my dad shot. I've seen people stabbed. I've seen people get in fights, half their face beat off and, you know, knocked off, and just, you know, blood, and different people waking up in the house with people laying all over the place, and all these crazy cowboys and stuff like that, and people. And I saw that in you. I saw a person who, you know, despite those things, and both of us going to fight tears today. I can tell you that right now, man, because despite those things, you know, there was something, man, that I saw in you that said, this guy's got something on the inside now that, like you said a while ago, blessed, but it's that realness of who you are, that realness of you and your relationship with Jesus. And that is what, to me, you know, made me want to be around you all the time. It broke my heart when I watched that show, but I thought, here's a guy, man, that despite all that, still goes out at your age, and I'm not saying you're old, but you're not. I mean, I'm not much far behind you. I'm not far. Me either. I'm getting there. But you still go out and you give God glory for everything you do. You share, you know, the message of the Bible with people everywhere you go. But that's what I wanted, you know, to talk to you about a little bit, was just how you got started with the whole snake thing, because that is who you are, Texas Snake Man. And was that in some way? I think I got it. I don't know if I heard it right when I watched that show, but that was the one thing your father kind of finally kind of respected or thought was unique about you, or came to see it, you know, and all that. And
think there's an element there that you're making reference to that kind of segues, but I think a lot of it was just that he mellowed.
He did.
In a later life and got to the point. He never quit drinking, but he moderated his drinking dramatically as he got older and more mature. And during that time, I think he became more capable of exhibiting the love and concern and compassion that he had for me and my sister and my mom.
Right.
Because at times there was a lot of times growing up when, you know, you didn't know what you was going to get.
Right.
You know, he might be the loving, kindest guy in the world. And in our little old town, which you described earlier, of 800 people, they'd call on him, man. I mean, they'd call on him for all kinds of things. And he was well respected.
Really?
People loved him, and they knew that if he told you something, it's going to be that way.
do it.
I mean, his word was his bond, and he could back it up and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like as I began to do what I was doing with the snakes and stuff, he didn't much like the snakes. They scared him, but he did take some satisfaction in knowing that I was becoming successful at it.
Okay.
And him and my mom both got one of the greatest blessings in their life was to see me get clean. Because they seen me go through some stuff now.
Yes, sir.
When I was doing that dope, I was just as crazy as anybody you ever met in your life. There's an element of insanity goes with the disease of addiction.
Sure
and
does.
I exhibited that insanity in a multitude of ways. And my family was trying every way they knew how to help me get through that. And you can't clean up for nobody. Anybody cleans up, they have to clean up for themselves.
Amen.
But they did do all they could do to make it available to me for me to turn my life around. But it was a combination of things had to happen. And those things did. And as my dad mellowed, and I mean, my mom was always a gentle, loving, kind individual, but she was kind of a hermit. She didn't like being around people much. Right. She was very, very artistic. She could paint real beautifully. She could write really well. Yeah. She was an artistic individual, and I feel like I'm somewhat of an artist myself. I'm creative, I think.
You are.
And I think I got that from my mom.
You did.
And I'm pretty blustery, and I think I got that from my dad.
That from your daddy, man. That's no lie. Well, I know that you've told me a little bit about, and you know how your mom came to visit you when you were in a place where you couldn't get out. I mean, you were somewhere where you had to have mama's prayers and mama's help and everything, and that touched my heart too, man. How your story, man. I've been in probably 600 prisons, man, in my life, singing and preaching and ministering and doing things, and I go out to the rough crowds, man, but I know how hopeless that can be sometimes. But your mama, she never forgot about you, when you was going through all that, did she? Yeah,
as rough as the life she led, and she did lead a pretty rough life in some ways. When I was in that jailhouse waiting to go to prison, and we didn't have bars, we had little squares in the metal that we was in that room, and I could put 3 fingers through there, and I'd put them fingers through, and Mama would hold them.
Oh, man.
And she'd say, "You got to pray, son, you got to pray." I said, "Mama, I can't." She said, "Yeah, you got to pray." I said, "Mama, I can't pray right now. I don't feel worthy enough to pray." She said, "Well, I'll pray for you till you can." And she did.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, man. We'll hear more of your story, but I just want to stop for a minute. And as you understand this life and you understand this story, it ain't even begun to unfold, man. It's not even began to unfold. But prayer, knowing that even when you can't pray, someone's going to pray for you. Someone is praying for you. And that's the wonderful thing about stories like ours, man, is there's moments in my life and yours too where I just felt like, man, God's a million miles away. I couldn't reach him if I had, a telescope. But God's as close as your next prayer that you pray from your lips, to reach you no matter where you may be at, man. And I see what he's done in your life. I see the man you are today, man. And the man that I met was a guy that, buddy, every time I've been down there going to church, because we're going to have hopefully a guy on one of these days with you, maybe if he'll come and join you, that's a pastor down there. And every time I go down there and preach somewhere or sing, whatever, you're there every time. And you're up there in that front row. And I see the Lord just in your life, man. And who would have thought, man, back in the day when you were putting those fingers through that slot, that God was going to do everything he's done. That was from Mama's prayers and from the prayers of people, but also your prayer when you called on God, man.
Mm-hmm.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Amen. Well, man, I don't want to get in your way about talking about your craft. I want you to we get on here and just chat. The thing with me and you, man, is we kind of like got this deep stare thing down. We know what we've done, man. And I've got a memento of you that goes with me. I wish I had it. It goes with me everywhere I go, man. You called me one day, and you said, "JT," you said, "Man, if you're ever down close this way," you said, "I want you to stop by here." You said, "I'll mail it to you," or whatever. And I had no idea. But in one of my guitar cases, not the one I have on set today, is a strap you made for me out of one of your pets. I want to call it one of your pets.
Yeah.
And man, I don't even want to take it out on the road much anymore because I cherish that thing, man. It is the most beautiful guitar strap. But I'm going to tell you something. I have used that strap, man, to talk to people, to set illustrations, to preach sermons. to share it with people about your life, and only about your life, but about just things that have impacted me. It has been one of the greatest props, if you will, that I can speak off of it. Every time I strap that white Telecaster on and I got that nice strap you made me, I feel like, man, I just feel something from you in it, man. I really do, man. I feel something from you, and it means the world to me. And you gave that to me, and I know that thing that's not a cheap thing. That was an expensive item, man. And I cherish it, man. I wish I had it here, man, to show everybody, but I appreciate you doing that for me, man. It was a blessing, man. It was a huge blessing.
It was my pleasure to be able to give you that token of how much I respect and appreciate you, and how much I enjoy the opportunity I get when we get to visit and hang out and do what we do. And we're both pretty busy.
We are.
We got a lot going on, and oftentimes I feel pressured because I know everybody wants to have a few minutes with you.
Yeah,
and sometimes I feel like I'm hogging you a little bit.
You ain't hogging me, buddy.
But
I have a busy life.
We don't run low on things to talk about.
We don't. I have a busy life. You're right. I do a lot of stuff. This wonderful group of people that watch us week to week and join us and listen to us, that's one of my biggest things. But I play and sing and speak all over the country. But every time I see your name pop up there, I try to answer it. And the last time I talked to you, what was so cool is you was telling me about a book that you're writing, man. And I guarantee you, man, if you want to find a book to read, this is going to be one worth reading. Tell me what's going on with that, if you don't mind.
Well, the book is written. It's at the publishers now. It should be out in the next few weeks. And I have a very dear friend that I went from first grade through 12th with. She's a retired school teacher up in Dallas. Her name is Peggy Wilson. And Peggy had encouraged me for several years to write a book. Write a book, got to write a book. You know, I'll help you. I'll do whatever you need to write a book. And I thought, yeah, I probably need to. But it never became an important thing that I felt like I needed to do until recently. And recently I felt like the timing was there. And so I wrote a book, you know, about my life. I mean, it was.
What's it called, man?
It's called Jackie Bibby, the Texas Snake Man, a very kind and gentle man.
That's a very good description.
That's the way I see myself.
Dang good description.
It's my story, my book, and I get to tell it. And in the book, I say, if you read this book, you will see me, you will hear me, and you'll know who and what I am. And that's what that book is. It's who and what I am.
Man, your legacy, dude.
And a lot of it's funny.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, life is funny.
Yeah, it's funny.
Life's hard. It's not all easy. But I've seen some amazing things in my journey.
Yes,
and
you have.
so I took the opportunity to share some of that stuff. And even as I was writing it, I thought to myself, people ain't going to believe it.
No.
They're not going to believe one man could have been through this much stuff and seen this many things and done these things. But in the prologue to that, I say this is the truth, the best of my knowledge. I told the truth, exactly how I recall it, the way it happened, and the people that were in it. And it was just a blessing to get to do it. And it'll be out soon, and I hope a lot of people enjoy reading it. I think they will. You've read an excerpt from it yourself.
I have, man.
You kind of know and understand, but you know my story.
I think you said you put me in it.
I did, absolutely. I put you in it.
What an honor, man. What an honor, man. Golly. The Texas redneck, the Texas snake man. That's a good combo chapter right there, buddy. I'm going to tell you. That's a good chapter. You know, man, you gave me I got a little room up in my house that's got a bunch of Texas stuff in it. I got a lot of things that mean a lot to me, man. I got a bunch of vintage pictures of the Von Erichs, man, and which I was a big fan of. I've got a lot of Stevie Ray Vaughan stuff. I've got a lot of Waylon Jennings stuff. And I've got a little Jackie Bibby corner up there that's got one of your derbies. And I think you told me that was the one you had when you kissed the cobra.
It had cobra venom on it.
Yes, now you tell me.
Cobra venom. Yeah.
Now you tell me. No wonder I got dizzy up there. I don't know what's going on, man. Now you tell me. Oh, I ain't going to tell Rainey about that, man. She probably won't let me keep it up there no more. You gave that to me, and that was the one you used when you kissed a cobra? Or what?
Yeah, all those derbies, and I change derbies a couple times a year. So I have extras that I've kept they're worn, you know, and they're kind of souvenirs. And I like to give them to people that are special to me that I love. And give you a little something. You can say, hey, you know, this is Jackie Bibby's hat.
Man.
And, yeah, when I'm kissing a cobra, the cobra's like a dark object. They'll focus on that.
Oh, really?
And the way that we kiss a cobra, we get it focused on something, so it's paying attention to that, so it doesn't pay a lot of attention when I lean over, kiss it on the head, and I usually got to do a little French kiss. I usually lick it just a little bit on the top of the head when I'm kissing it. So, but if they bite the hat, and they often do, then they'll envenomate. So when they envenomate, that cobra venom dries on the hat, and your hat has several little spots of cobra venom on it.
Okay. Now that I know that, folks, here's the deal, man. I'm going to change it to maybe not Backroads Truth, but like Jungle Truth or something. I don't know, man. There's a different theme here. I had no idea, but I don't care what it's got on it. It means the world to me. Along with you gave me one of your Ripley's Believe It or Not books, one of your Guinness books, and you're in there. And, man, seeing you, man, in a sleeping bag or a swimming pool or whatever you get, a bathtub with all of these Western Diamondbacks, it's like, I don't understand. I know we're getting off a little bit, but I want to know these things so people can kind of understand. What is it like? What's the technique? What's the secret? What's the deal you do?
What's
just
the
be
secret
still?
sauce?
Yeah, what's the secret? Just being still, or what?
It is. Rattlesnakes will bite you for two reasons: food and fear.
Okay.
We're not a food source.
Right.
They're never going to bite us to eat us. They'll bite you if you scare them. So being real still and real calm and real gentle around them doesn't scare them. Rapid movement will. You know, and they get stirred up sometimes, excited. For example, one time we were in California filming the Ripley's Believe It or Not episode, and we got 84 snakes in there with me. But during the course of getting these snakes in the bathtub,
He
with
said
me,
84.
Yeah.
Not 34. 84.
Two of them got in a fight in my lap. They're in my lap and they're biting each other. And I had to call Dougie Duggar over and get one of them out because
God.
they never bit me, but they was biting each other. So it was a little nerve-wracking.
Well, I'm sure it was.
You know, it's kind of like one of the stunts I do and one of the world records I hold is getting in a sleeping bag head first with a bunch of rattlesnakes. And a rattlesnake smells with his tongue. They stick their tongue out, and that's how they smell. Now, when you're in a sleeping bag head first, it's dark and it's hot in there, and there's snakes crawling around your head, and they flick their tongue against your ear. It takes pretty strong nerves to kind of stay calm.
It ain't like your wife tickling your ear, man, or something. That's a whole different ball game right there. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Man, a lot of people probably don't really imagine, you know, somebody doing this, but it's this person, man. That's why he's so unique, not just because of snake stuff, but I mean, when you're talking about nerve, man, you were a Golden Gloves boxer for a while, wasn't you?
I was, yeah.
And you were also like I don't know if you were
Arm
Texas.
wrestling champion.
Did you won some title in Texas, man, on arm wrestling?
Central Texas champion.
Golly, man.
And I was a skydiver, and I'm a pilot, and I fly hang gliders, and, you know, scuba dive, cliff dive, water ski, snow ski,
No wonder you're a
ice
dang
skate,
chick
roller
magnet
skate.
crap, man. Dang. They told
I'm
me
just
you was.
gutsy. I'm gutsy, man. I rode bulls for several years.
I forgot about that, man. That you rode bulls, man.
I did, yeah. And my dad used to pull my rope.
What?
Yeah, my dad used to pull my rope for me. And I got hurt one time. Bull stepped on me, fractured my cheek. And 2 weeks later, I was back up in another bull riding. You know, I entered and was on the books already. And during the time after I fractured my cheek, then I dove in the lake and hit a rock and cut my head open. So I had 9 stitches in my head and a fractured cheek, and I was back up in the bull riding. Gosh. And so my dad, I told him, I said, you know, I think I'm going to turn that bull out. I said, you know, I'm bunged up, I'm hurt. You know, he said, son, I don't care if you ever ride another bull in your life. He said, but don't turn that bull out. He said, because you're scared. I said, I ain't scared. I was terrified. Yes, sir. So, but he knew it. He knocked me off. So he pulled my rope, and I rode that bull. I rode about 3 jumps. He throwed me clean. And when I got off, I was okay.
Dude, that's one reason I love you, man. That is one of the reasons that I love you, dude. And I tell you what, I admire you, man. And that, you know, to have that kind of understanding of that, man, you know what? Life's terrifying, man, you know, and some things in life are terrifying. It's almost as terrifying sometimes getting up in the morning facing life as it is going head first into a sleeping bag full of rattlesnakes. But you know, that's what this program we try to do, just say, look, man, whatever your fears may be, whatever your anxieties may be, man, there's something that you've got on the inside of you that has helped you, man, not only overcome them, but some of those water that's leaking out of your eyes is from past hurts and pains, and you living, going back through these memories. But those things have been healed one by one and still being healed by your love for God and his love for you, man, you know, which is what's so precious about you to me, man. It really is, man, you know. So precious, man. Man, you know, I remember one time I was playing a guitar gig down there. I was at a church, one of my favorite churches, Cross Texas Cowboy Church. I was down there and I was doing a outdoor event, and I was trying to play my guitar and get up there and sing and do my thing, and I kept seeing you milling around out there, and you had 2 or 3 little cages out there, and I thought, well, maybe he's got like, you know, an iguana, man, or some kind of, you know, something I could go see. And as soon as I got off stage, I still had my guitar strapped on. There you was with that silver pole walking toward me again with a doggone rattlesnake, you know, man. How does a guy supposed to get up there and play when you're sitting out there doing that? But you show up all kind of places and bring them out and let people look at them and educate people too.
I do, and I do a lot of stuff like later just before the end of the summer, next month I think, September. I do stuff like there's a suicide awareness thing that they have every year in Cross Plains.
Yeah.
I go and set up there, and I'm available with snakes in cages. I don't take them out, but I let people ask questions, and I answer questions for them, take pictures with them, and, you know, talk to people and do stuff like that. You know that we have an event coming up that you're helping me with.
Man,
that's an event related to a nonprofit group that I belong to that helps addicts. You know, I feel like a lot of my ministry, if you will, because I perceive myself as being a minister of sorts, is to be out there, to be available to another suffering addict. Because that individual, wherever they may be or whatever they may be going through, when I'm able to talk with them about, I've been in a penitentiary, I've been in a jail cell, I've been in a dope house.
Been addicted.
You know, I've been to the point where I didn't have nothing left but a drug habit.
Right.
You know, when I talk to that individual, I can give them hope.
You sure do.
And I can say, you know, I don't have all the answers, but I'm willing to walk with you on this journey as you change your life around, because you can be delivered from that disease of addiction.
That's true.
Now, you know, you may always be an addict. 34 years clean, I think if I picked up right now and went to doing dope again, it wouldn't be but a little while. I'd be in serious trouble.
Exactly.
But by being abstinent like I am now, I can lead a pretty normal life.
Amen.
You know?
No, I get it.
And can be available to other individuals. But my point being, I like to do things where I give something back, because I believe with great reward comes great responsibility.
It does, man.
And I feel like I owe it to my being delivered, to God's gifts to me. I owe it to try to pass that on, to other individuals who are where I was.
Yeah. I mean, every time a prison calls me, I've had, because I've done, you know, like I said, the video we did, and I wish I could have had you in it, but the next one we do, I've already got an idea that I'm going to run by you pretty soon. But we released a video. One of the producers of the show here, kind enough, man, to take me under his wing and kind of help me get an idea and storyboard this great song out. So three of our guests here in past times have been, you know, part of that. And but that video got released in the prison systems across the United States of America. Had like probably 2 or 3 million views. And I get letters all the time from inmates, you know, talking to me about how, you know, I possibly have impacted their life, whatever. And I never say no to someone. My wife and I went to Northeastern Correctional Facility not long ago, way on the Missouri-Iowa line, man. And we drove up there, and the guy said, I can't give you any money. We don't have money to give. And I said, it's okay. I'll pay my way, bought my own hotels, drove all the way up there and did about a 3-hour deal for the men. And you'd think Garth Brooks coming there or something, because these guys know me, they follow me, they listen to me. My music has gotten millions of listens and a video and stuff like that. But here's my thing. I kind of feel that same way with that. Even though I wasn't in prison, I should have been. I mean, I should have been right in there with you with 3 fingers coming through I should have been, man. But just by the grace of God, I never did. I had numerous times I made the weekend deal, you know, and got out, you know, whatever, but I never did that. But I feel obligated, man. I feel like, you know, that's my responsibility, is to reach out with that message of hope. And, you know, just like this guitar and the ones I've got laying around the studio here and the ones at home have opened the door for me, those snakes and your way of doing that, your story, that's opened a lot of doors for you, man, to communicate the gospel to people all over the world. and with a lot of celebrity people. I mean, I'll toot your horn for you, man. You don't have to. Man, you've been around a lot of celebrity people, man, you know, in your life. You've met a lot of really famous people just because of what you do, man. And but you don't act that way, man, you know. Tell me about some of the things you've done as far as like with your training dogs, man. You're experienced dog trainer.
I do. Been doing that for about 30 years. Dogs are curious, and a lot of them don't know what a venomous snake is. They see it, hear it, and smell it. You know, they hear that thing rattling. They're curious, and they'll go to investigate that. And as anybody who's had dogs for any length of time knows, a lot of dogs get bit.
They do.
Some of them die.
Yeah.
Some of them suffer the loss of a limb.
Yep.
Some of them have lifelong scars and things wrong as a result of being envenomated by a rattlesnake or a copperhead. What we do at some of the kennels around Central Texas area, we do what's called a dog training clinic, rattlesnake clinic. And I take a couple rattlesnakes and I milk the venom out of them pretty good. Or you can't ever get it all, but you get most of the venom out. And I wash their mouth out with a spray bottle, fold their fangs up, and then I suture their mouth shut with a little staple, like a suture, like a veterinarian uses to close a wound.
You fold their fangs up.
Yeah, put it up in a cup. They have a little thing in the roof of their mouth where those fangs fold in that.
Whoa, okay.
But then when they open their mouth, those fangs come out, and they can stab you with them fangs. So we put them fangs up in their pockets and then suture over the top of the fang, so that the fang has to remain, it can't open its mouth. But he can still stick his tongue out and smell, and he'll still strike. He'll strike at a dog even though he can't open his mouth. So we put them out in an exercise area, put the dog on a long leash with a shock collar, and we let them discover those snakes. We let them see, smell, and hear them. And once they do that, they go to investigate, and we shock them. After that, you can't melt and pour them on a snake. They know, they associate that shock with that snake. Then we'll get the owner of that dog to get on one side of that snake and put the dog about 20 yards down on the other side of that snake, and we'll turn that dog loose and have the owner call him. That owner will call that dog, he'll go plumb around that snake and come to the owner.
Gosh.
We show him that that's proof right there. He's adverse to that snake.
From shock collars.
Shock collar.
But the whole process of putting the fangs back in the snake's mouth and suturing it, do you have like a little staple gun or something you use for that?
Yeah, I got surgical sutures.
Stapler?
There's a veterinarian that does the shots for the dogs that comes to one of our clinics, and he always brings me a fistful of them. He's got some that's got a few staples left in them, and he'll give me his cast-offs, and I'll use them like that.
Dang, man.
Yeah. If I don't have that, and what I did for many, many years, I did it with duct tape.
What?
I'll cut a little slim piece of duct tape and tape their mouths with that and fold it over where I can take it back off. Wow. And just put them fangs in that pocket, put duct tape over it, go right on.
And you've been doing that, you said 30 years to do the dogs?
Dog training, yeah. I've been doing snakes 53 years. Started in 1969.
Really? Well, tell me a little bit about, I know you're a great actor, man. I mean, I already know this about you because I've seen some of the stuff you've done, and I hope I get to do it. I'm an aspiring actor. I don't say I'm a great one.
I am too.
I'm a learning one, you know.
Me too.
Well, you're better. You've done a lot more than I have, but I hope we can do something together. But tell me a couple of the roles you've done, man. You know, things you've done like that.
I've done stuff with the big names. I was in Michael with John Travolta. Wow. Keys to Tulsa with Mary Tyler Moore.
Wow.
America's Dream with Danny Glover.
Oh yeah, man.
I was in one with Denzel Washington that.
All right. Okay.
Courage Under Fire.
Yeah, Courage Under Fire. Man.
But my part got cut, and it's kind of funny.
What?
I was an extra. I didn't have a speaking part, but I was there. I was in it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know my part was going to get cut. I didn't see it get edited. Right. So I take my dad to the premiere of this thing.
Oh, no, man.
We're all excited.
Come on.
My part came up, and it wasn't there. So, but it was still, I did get to work face-to-face with Denzel Washington.
I bet that's
I had
cool,
a face-to-face scene with him.
He's a good dude, man, when I hear him.
All those guys, now I got to work with Lonnie Anderson. She's not the nicest person I ever met. Made-for-TV movie, I got to escort her out of a bar, the Broken Spoke, down in Austin, Texas.
Really?
In a film, called Deadly Family Secrets. Danny Glover, worked with him in that film called America's Dream. When I met him, I told him what a pleasure it was to meet him. He said, the pleasure is all mine. You know, this man, Danny Glover, he's a legend.
Yeah.
And he shakes my hand and said, the pleasure is all mine.
I know, man.
Hey, that's cool.
I know, man.
That's cool.
It's really crazy, man. Like when I was playing country music, we opened up for a lot of big name people, you know, and of course I do mostly all Christian stuff now, but I still have gone out and, you know, I've played around Nashville, played around places. When I was doing clubs and stuff, that's way back in the past, I met a lot of celebrity people, you know, we opened up for them. And it's amazing how many of them are really, really, really nice. But there's an occasional some that are just, man, they're not, man, you know.
They are. That's true. I've met some that just
not
weren't
nice
overly
people.
kind. And,
Yeah.
well, that's fine. That's them. It ain't me.
Well, here's the thing, man, is that I realize at any moment or every moment that we're just people, man. They don't care if you're on 2,500 movies or you're on 2 or you got 20 hit songs or none, like me, basically. You know, we're just people, you know, and people are just like you, man. I mean, I can look at you right now, and I don't know if our camera crew can do much, but I don't want to put you on the spot, and I ain't going to ask you to. But you've got a lot of flaws, man. I don't mean that ugly. You're a beautiful man. You're a chick magnet, dude. I ain't lying. This dude is, man. He really is, man. I'm serious. It's crazy. But you've got half of you plastic, half of you missing. You know, parts falling off and stuff that's been damaged by cobra venom and rattlesnake venom and everything else, but that's humanity. We're all just flawed, man. We're all messed up, and people sometimes think they're perfect, and I don't think that's what these people do, but they kind of get that idea, man, I'm perfect because I'm famous, I'm perfect. Listen, there's nobody perfect. There's nobody in this world that is perfect. We're all snake bit. We're all snake bit. To a large degree, to a full degree, everybody in this world, if you'll follow my imagery, has been bitten by a venom, and it's called sin. We have been bitten, we've been struck, we've been infused with something deadly, and it's called sin. And that venom from sin has separated us from God, and it produces death. I mean, it produces not only just bad things in our life, like you've heard him talk about, prison, addiction, horrible childhood in some ways, different things, violence, man, addictions on my own life, all these things. Sin produces that, but it also produces, death, destruction, separation from God. And we've been bitten. We didn't even ask to. It just happened. But here's the good thing, just like my good friend would tell you, there is an antivenom. There's an antivenom for this. And that antivenom is called grace, and it comes through knowing Jesus Christ and having a relationship with God through his one and only Son, Jesus Christ. That's the antivenom, the antitoxin. And instead of it having to come from Jackie going out there and milking a rattlesnake or milking a cobra or training a dog to avoid it, it's given to us freely by the wonderful promise that God has given us in his word, that if we trust Jesus, we ain't got to be perfect. This guy here, if you could see him, he's just pieced together. He's just pieced together by prosthetics. He wouldn't mind me telling that. He's got some limbs missing. He got some digits missing. Yeah, show him right quick.
Store-bought leg.
Gosh. Store-bought leg. Hold up one of your hands, man, where I think your thumb been paralyzed. It got other things that's happened. And that's all stuff that's done by snakes, right?
Yes.
Stuff that's done by snakes. But listen, let's just speak now on this little back road journey here that we're on and just take a pause for a minute. Just pull the emergency brake up for a second. All of us, man, are messed up. We're incomplete. We're messed up. And we've been bit, as I said, by that horrible thing called sin. And it wants to keep on injecting venom. It wants to keep on destroying families. It wants to keep on destroying lives. And I want to tell somebody today, please, if you didn't catch anything in this whole time, I want you to remember those 3 fingers. Man, I'm trying to hold back my tears today because I can see that in my mind. I can see this young man, hopeless, ashamed, condemned, and in need. And I see a poor old mama coming in and saying, I pray. I can't. Well, she said, I'll pray for you. I'll pray with you. And you know what? God, he's saying, if all you can do is reach out 3 fingers right now and say, man, listen, I don't know what I'm going to do right now. I've had so much bites and so much strikes on me. I don't know what I can do, but I'm going to tell you, if you can just reach forward right now and say, man, listen, I need help. There's an antivenom, and that antivenom is called grace. It comes through knowing Jesus Christ and trusting him and believing him. And that's why we have these wonderful intriguing guests on here is so we can use their stories. We can have their stories to entertain and to engage and give people something good to listen to and watch. But at the end of every one of these journeys, man, whether we're going down a highway or a back road, I kind of push the brake down and say, hey, stop for a minute and listen, man. There's always a dead end. There's always a fork in the road at this back road that we come to this moment and say, man, you know what? Do you know that antivenom? Have you had that antivenom? And you can by just reaching out today, just like that, and letting God touch you and you touch him. And know this, we're praying for you. We love you. Listen, there may be somebody today that you say, man, I got a person that's interested in, the reptile world, or they're a thrill seeker. Maybe you got somebody who's interested in training dogs, boxing, arm wrestling, bull riding, skydiving, scuba diving, flame throwing, whatever. You name it, he's done it. You name it, he's done it, man. Maybe you say, well, I'm not interested in none of that. I just like interesting people. You ain't going to find nobody more interesting than this dude right here. And we ain't even scratched the surface, man. I'd like for you to share it with someone, because ultimately, that someone you're sharing it with, they've got a fang mark. Not really. They've got a fang mark in them that's causing destruction, death, and pain. And they need to hear this message of hope, the same one that came forth from my good friend. And I hope today you will. Listen, if you want to know more about us, you can go to backroadstruth.com. You can see yours truly, the old Backroads Truth troubadour. I'll be sitting right here in this same old truck seat with you and waiting to hear from you, because we'd love to hear from you. And listen, today we've got some cool guests. I don't think we're going to have too many as cool as this guy. I want to ask you, would you please come back and be on another show with us sometime?
Anytime, anywhere.
Please.
Anytime, anywhere with you.
I hope that we have you back. I want to do a movie with you. I want to do a lot of things with you. I want to be able to go out and hang with you. One thing I don't want to do is go back to that museum again. Okay. I don't want to go back there again. God, please, So, and thankfully today you didn't bring any of your pets.
Well, I got you a lot closer than I did Rainey. Your wife was she wasn't going. She was not going in that museum.
Oh, gosh.
I don't think we could have melted her and put her in there.
No, and you know what? I remember, I got to go here in a minute. I'll tell you what. I'll never forget the first time that I took her over to your place, and you were out there with them, skinning them, man. And I got out to come give you a hug, and I could hear as soon as I got out the door, I heard click, click. The door's locked. She wasn't going to come out. She loves you. Today, man, matter of fact, she always tells me, man, how's Snake doing? Because when you had a little bit of health issues, she does love you, man. I don't know anybody that don't love you, man. I don't know anybody in this world that don't love you, man. I really don't, man. He's one of the greatest guys I've ever known in my life, man. You really are, man. I mean that, man.
Thank you. I mean, I try to be a decent dude.
You are.
A few days ago, my son and I were talking, and my sons, both of my boys, I have two boys, and they both have their struggles. Yeah. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and they're going through their troubles right now, and you and I have talked about it innumerable times.
Oh, yeah, we have.
You know my struggle there. You know how much it hurts me to see them making mistakes similar to what I made and stuff. But I think this is a hilarious story. A few days ago, my son and I were talking, and my son was telling me how much I aggravated him, how much trouble I caused him because of, trying to
help him
run his life. Trying to help him. But I told him, I said, I'm one of the nicest guys you know. And he kind of laughed. He said, no, you're not. He said, you're good. You're not nice. You're an a-hole. So maybe I am. I don't know.
Well, let me tell you something. Most dads at that age or any time they appear to be, but I guarantee most stuff my daddy told me, and definitely the most stuff, everything my mama told me was straight wisdom that I needed to listen to. And more people would be behooved to listen to you. And so I hope with that being said, we can get you back another time where we can have more people listen to you, because you're not that. You're an angel to me, man, and I mean that. And you're a wonderful man. So listen, until the next time, man, when we do have this amazing man back and many more of the people, listen, buckle up, man, put your seatbelt on, get ready to, man, go into 4 low if we need to, because we're going to go down another back road, and we're going to wind up in the same spot, right here at Backroads Truth. It's the old Backroads Truth troubadour is going to be with you. You're going to be with me. And I promise you, it ain't going to be no boring journey. It's going to be a good one. So until that next time, we'll see y'all down the back roads. Appreciate you. Thank you so much, man. God bless
you. My pleasure.
I love you, buddy. I love you, buddy.